It's the brief history as what Dave Chappelle refers to as the alphabet people in his recent show. Um, he has a very good summary of what I part of what I say in the gay chapter. Basically, the gays and the lesbians got together, and they didn't have much in common other than the fight for lesbian and gay
Other than the
rights.
fact that none of them were interested in each other.
Yes, I mean it's a really I love the sort of presentation of the LGBT community as if like the gays and the lesbians never meet. They have nothing to say to each other. And in my opinion, my experience, the lesbians all find the gays ridiculous because they think they're essentially sort of silly and obsessed with sex and lots more. And the gays think the lesbians are kind of dowdy and boring. And that's the. I'm not saying this is my view, of course.
I know. I love the interplay of the politics. It's great.
So anyway, but the point is that no one ever talks about this. But basically, the L's and the G's didn't get on at all, really, ever, and they had nothing in common. And then the B's came along, and nobody quite believed the B's existed. And I think there's still a lot of doubt about that.
Okay,
actually.
yeah.
Or to put it another way, most men who say they're bisexual, women don't then. Women almost never call with that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the gays think that's just somebody who hasn't made their mind up yet.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's right or wrong, I'm now going to be accused of biphobia among all my other many crimes. But anyhow, and then the T's come along who have absolutely nothing in common, apart from also some suspicion from wider society. And the T's morphs in the space of a few decades from dressing up as some of the clothing of the opposite sex to full-on sex changes. And this happens incredibly fast now to this position where people say there are people who are born transsexual, which is, as I say in the trans chapter, it's all really fascinating, but it's by no means as clear as that. But by the way, I also say that the T's run against the L's and the G's. And that's just overwhelming. Well, now if a child is diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is a really troubling whole business, this 80% of children diagnosed as having so-called gender dysphoria will grow up not to have it, i.e. they will grow up to be straight or gay. And a lot of gay men and women look at that and they think, whoa, that could have happened to my younger self. Mm-hmm, the sort of tomboyish lesbian might have been told, actually, you're a boy. And we're going to give you hormone therapies and block your puberty, and then you can have an experiment, medically on you, and a bit later. And then, whoa. I mean, that is really. There's like a lot of
totally right.
There's a lot of tension there,
pushing people towards the extremes. I brought this up with Zuby that I don't remember the last time I heard tomboys. Like, there's no such thing as a butch girl anymore, or like a girl that likes to do sports.
Yeah,
there's a future boy trapped inside of a girl's body.
And one of the strange things, I mean, like LGBT, that's a bloody minefield. I mean, as I said, that's just one great big contradiction there. But it's much worse when you see what the T does to the women, because women have spent decades fighting not to be judged according to male standards, among other things. Mm-hmm. And then when trans comes along, people who are born men say they're women and quite often do a lot of things and approximate women in a way that is highly offensive to women. Highly offensive to women. For instance, I give an example in the book of, what one second wave feminist in Britain described as, the assumption that a woman's natural body shape is that of a sort of Brazilian transsexual, all big breasts and sort of porny and and all that. And a lot of women are like, that's exactly the kind of sexual objectification by men of women that we were trying to get away from.
Yep.
And so anyhow, all of this, the point is, all of this is just a bloody great big mess. It's much messier than everyone pretends. They're like, oh, all of this interlocks, and if we can tackle trans rights, we can also address women's rights. No, they might go like that, like that and just keep happening like that. There was an event the other day in the UK. There was a meeting of feminists, British feminists, and they were barracked by trans activists outside. The police were protecting the trans activists, and these people who were men until quite recently are banging on the windows, intimidating the women inside. And it's like, trans rights. Yeah, I was like, what? In what other situation are the men allowed to intimidate the women, other than if the men say they're now women?
When they wear heels. That's when
they wear heels. Yeah.
That's exactly when they're allowed, unless they take them off and then start using them as a weapon.
This is really messy, and everything in our day says all of these things are linked, and it's really straightforward. And I'm kind of pissing on that party in this book, among other things.
There's a number of parties getting pissed on in the book. Yeah, there was.